Hi, Counselor Colby here. I want to take a moment to talk about one of the things that I might be doing differently than some other counseling interventions out there. And that is that my focus is less on motivation and more about skills. In the traditional model of behavior modification, different programs, and a lot of these are really good at this and are really helpful for a lot of people, is that the focus is on how do we reward and consequence kids and even ourselves into better behaviors. How do we motivate people into doing good things and what we want them to do? How do I motivate my kid to take a bath at night? How do I motivate myself into doing certain things? And so the traditional models, a lot of them really are good at focusing on rewards and consequences. How do we find the right combination of rewards for good behaviors? How do we consequence out of bad behaviors? How do we tap into that motivation to do those things? And those programs work for most kids in most situations most of the time fairly well. We also really grew up with some version of that. We knew that if we had bad behaviors, there'd be some consequences to that. We knew rewards for some good behaviors, and that influenced our motivation to do things. And we sort of live in generically like that in this world. The problem with that is that doesn't always work. We're not really sure why at times, but sometimes it gets really frustrating of like I'm giving them all the rewards, they're getting in trouble all the time. I've told them all the great motivations. Why is this not clicking with kids? Why can't I get them to do these things? And so that's where I come in terms of a lot of the kids and adults that I work with are kind of stuck there, that some of these methods just have not worked. And so instead of focusing on that, the focus I come from is more of a developmental model, is that we're looking at missing skill sets and abilities. Instead of the motivation to do things, I really am wondering what are the missing abilities, what are the missing skills? Because a lot of the motivations are there. Kids don't want to get in trouble. We want to do better with our own behaviors. We want things to go well. What's the missing piece? And that's what I take a look at. And so the phrase that separates the two would be focusing on what we call skills, not will. But I want to look at the missing components and skill sets of kids don't want to be angry. They don't want to melt down. They don't want to have tantrums and all these troubles. They don't want to be in trouble at school. They don't want to be in trouble and argue with their parents. So we look at what are the skills then. How do we manage then some of our emotions? How do we communicate better? How do we problem solve and resolve situations and gain skills that make more long-lasting solutions? So that's the focus that I take in looking at. Is the question is, they don't want to take a bath. Instead of how do we work consequence, I'm like, what are the missing abilities to manage not wanting to take a bath and not wanting to do certain things, and how do we help them sit still, for longer and pay attention better, and those are the skill sets that we're looking at. And so that's the approach that I take. It might be a little bit different than some others. So if that sounds interesting to you, or you want to learn more about that, you're welcome to contact me, watch some of my other videos on the material as well.